let's start with you telling, us who you are.
Right, good
Tell us about
afternoon.
yourself. Yeah.
My name is Joseph Umoibom.
Yeah.
I'm the general manager at Culture and also producer Bolanle Austin Peters Production. So I produce films and theater in our theater Culture where we do most of our plays. And also we in Culture we have a restaurant, a gallery, an art gallery. Um, we do exhibitions and stuff like that. Recently, we've slowed down on that because we are doing some renovation. You can see some of the works down there.
Yeah.
And then we do a lot of plays here. We've produced quite a number of musical plays directed by Bolan Austin Peters here in this theater. A number of them also we've taken them around the world. We've performed twice at London West End,
Mm.
took our production to Pretoria, South Africa, Cairo, Egypt, and Dubai. And then our films, we have currently have three films on Netflix, one on Prime Video, and we have one more coming up on Netflix later this month. So that's pretty much it about me.
Yeah. I mean that's a lot. A lot of beautiful things. A lot of hard work.
Yeah.
So Terra Culture. What is it all about? I mean, the name sounds very interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Terra Culture, we pride ourselves as being the foremost Nigerian cultural center.
Okay.
Was set up by Bolanle Austin Peters to promote Nigerian arts, culture. When we talk about arts, talk about culinary arts in the food, visual arts, performing arts, literary arts. In its starting years, the what inspired her to set up the center was that a lot of our young people, our children, couldn't speak our language.
Hmm.
They could speak English, they could go learn French or German or Chinese language, but struggle to speak our language. So we started off having a language school as part of the offerings of Terra Culture,
Terra
apart from the
Culture.
restaurant and the gallery and bookstore. We're teaching Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba.
That's
And then
wonderful.
we also taught different aspects of crafts, tie and dye, batik, dance, drumming, music, you know. So a lot of people used to come here to learn that. Even at some point, the U.S. consulate used to engage our services for cultural orientation for their diplomats when they come
Hmm.
new to Nigeria. So the main aim for Terra Culture was to promote and conserve our
Terra
culture
Culture.
and our arts. That was with Terra Culture was started 20 years ago. Then we veered into theater productions. So for a long time, I could say for the last 16, 17 years, Terra Culture has been the only consistent theater in Nigeria.
Hmm.
Every Saturday and Sunday, you could be sure there is a play going on here.
Yeah.
In an initiative we called Theater at Terra. And the plan was not for us, because we own a production company performing, but to give the platform to other theater companies to perform. So we had a program for the year, and each month of the year we gave to one theater company to perform every weekend of that month. The next month we gave to another, the next to another. That way we had quite a large number of theater companies that had the platform to perform. And then we were able to also groom a lot of um, actors, stage managers, all the different aspects of theater. Then we decided to start producing our own theater. That was in 2013, and we started with Saro the musical,
Hmm.
musical stage play that was like 100-man cast, was massive. Then we didn't have the space. We had to go to a hotel banquet hall to perform.
For performing. Hmm.
And from there, we moved to Muslim Center to perform again for about 2 years before we built this space. We had a small box, it was just a box. So it couldn't contain the kind of productions we were doing because they were massive. They were in a scale comparable to what you see in Broadway.
Yeah.
So we had to look for suitable venues until we were able to build this space. Then we started performing in our own theater. And down the line, also, we decided to venture into filmmaking.
Filmmaking. Yeah.
Bolalos Peters again side directing the film, and together we would produce the play, we co-produce the play, and the films rather. And our very first venture into film was a co-production between BAP Productions, our production company, and two other production companies. And the film then was 93 Days.
93 days.
The film on how Ebola came into
Came in,
Nigeria, and that was our first foray into filmmaking.
Mm.
Thereafter, we now moved to Bling Lagosians, Collision Course, Man of God, and now from Lion Ransom Kuti.
My name is Olufumilayo Ransom Kuti,
wife of the Right Reverend,
mother of Dulupo Olikoye Fela and Beko Larry.
This is about the plight of the Egba market women.
So that's the trajectory, how it's been.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of interesting. And again, I'm curious. So, what was the background of this powerful woman that,
Right.
Yeah, because again, I mean, I'm fascinated.
Well,
sure I would like to speak with her one day. Yeah.
Yes, she's out of town right now, but yeah, well, she studied law. She's a lawyer by training, and worked with the United Nations, UNHCR, in different parts of the world, before she came back home to Nigeria to practice, and then seeing the gap in cultural heritage preservation and promotion, she started culture, and that's how it's been. So our foray into theater and film was not because we were schooled in the arts of the performing arts or theater or anything. No, it wasn't. Even I studied biochemistry, so both of us studied stuff that were way off from performing arts or theater or film, but she had the vision, she had the passion, I also had the passion, and then we could start. We had an amazing team as well that we could put together. That's how we ventured into theater, and right now she is the biggest theater director in Nigeria, and our productions are pretty much the biggest theater production you could think of anywhere in Nigeria right now. So she was tagged the Queen of Theater by CNN, and then we now moved into filmmaking. We had never made any film before, and we started with 93 Days with Steve Guka's production company that made a film. He's been directing films, so that's how we started co-producing that one. BAP Productions, Michelangelo Productions, and Native Film Works. These were the three companies that co-produced that film. After that, she again had the vision of not just ending there, but we start producing our own film. That's how we started with Bling Lagosians, and so that's here. We are now.
And now you got to Ransom Kuti.
Yeah.
Now, so take us through. How did you come into, again, into the arts?
How did I
you
come
studied
into arts?
Chemistry.
Biochemistry.
The biochemistry. I mean, the passion might be there, but again, what actually inspired? What triggered the passion?
Well, I would say it was, should I say happenstance? I don't know if there's anything like that I had to. I got, well, I worked in an architectural firm, which is still part of the creative industry anyway.
Yeah.
I worked in an architectural firm for a couple of years as the administrative manager, and it was a turnkey architectural firm. They had all the competencies in-house: the architects, the quantity surveyors, electrical, mechanical, civil engineering, project managers. So they could take a project and design, to the extent they will build and deliver. So it was turned around. They did everything without needing a third-party company to be involved. So I worked with them for a couple of years, and I loved what I was doing, because it was creating something from scratch to finish. We saw the whole process, and all the different technical departments that need to do this. depended on my support to be able to deliver. So we worked hand in hand like that. So when the opportunity came for, there was an opening in terraculture, I moved here, and that's since then I loved what I'm doing. I have curated exhibitions in Lagos, in Calabar, done art installation works. In fact, we had about 20, 21 or 22 um, public arts across Lagos, commissioned by the Lagos state government that we did. Um, we also had different offices that we had installed art, different homes. We started an art auction house, and at some point I became a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Auctioneers of
From
Nigeria,
Nigeria.
and so we're
Wow.
auctioning arts just to prove to art buyers that the secondary market is active. You know, that when you are buying a piece of art, you enjoy it in different ways. One, the aesthetics, the beauty, beautifies your home. Two, it is a store of income because when you sell it, you sell at a profit, it appreciates. So it's an investment as well.
Investment. Yeah.
How are you going to justify this? How are you going to prove to somebody coming to buy a piece of art that this is an investment? It's not just a decorative item because they say, okay, I'll just hang it to beautify my house. But we want to prove to you that it's an investment. So we got into the art auction business, and we were getting art off owners of art,
And then
and then putting it in the auction, selling it at way more than they bought it. And they started saying, so truly this is quite some business. So collecting art could be business. So we groomed quite a number of collectors, young
collectors.
collectors coming up, buying, seeing the transactions that go on in the secondary art market, which gave them confidence that if they buy art, they can resell in future. It's a store of wealth, it's an investment. You know, so I got loving all of that, you know, and from there we ventured into um, theater,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
into film. In fact, in theater, at some point, when the governor of Lagos State then came and saw our theater, he liked it, the space, and he commissioned Terraculture to build theaters in different parts of Lagos. So we constructed something similar in 4 different locations in Lagos for the Lagos State government. You know, so we've been active in the creative industry sector,
Industries.
and Bolanle St. Peters also has been in the forefront of the development of the sector, both in the visual arts, in the literary arts, performing arts, and pretty much all forms of arts in Nigeria.
That's really wonderful. I mean, again, I mean, it's kind of like a renaissance, kind of
Yes,
renaissance of sorts. I mean, because you know, a lot of very encouraging things. So that means, um, I mean, you guys are creating, you're really, helping to build the economy in very, very
Abs-
interesting ways.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The contribution of what we've done in terms of creating jobs
Yes.
has been incredible. We have in the theater here, each time we do a production, we have about 150 to 200 people employed directly. Now there are the indirect
Indirect. Yeah.
employments, artisans that work in their stores or shops or and are not here on set with us, tailors that create the costume
Costumes.
from their shops and they're not here with us. You know, different people that work on the production, but you don't get to see them.
Yes.
But they contributed to it.
A
They
lot.
all gain some form of income from that. You know, so it's been a massive impact on the
On
economy.
the economy. Yeah. I mean, again, this is really wonderful. This is really, really wonderful. So let's talk about the movie industries. I mean, the 93 days. It's really a very great movie, and but then I want to I want us to talk about your recent project,
Right.
Fumilayo. How did you guys come about it?
You know, in the course of our theater production, we got to produce a play called Fela and the Kalakuta Queens. You know, so it was a story of Fela and how he married his 27 wives in
Seven
one day.
Wonders.
You know, so it was a massive production, and we had the support and buy-in of the fella Ransom Kuti's family. You know, and they gave us the stories of what happened. We interviewed, they linked us up to some of the 27 women that were still alive. I think about 2 of them also, they came. We did their backstories. Excuse me. We spoke with them and got more information about the inner operations of Kalakuta Republic. So we created that beautiful play called Fela and the Kalakuta Queen.
Who was the scriptwriter?
Man.
But it was an original story.
It was an original
you guys
story.
At least commissioned someone to do the script.
Yes, it was an original story that we commissioned somebody. I can't remember his name right now. He's been quite a couple of years. It was original, purely original, based on information we gathered from the family, from the wife, and then of course stories, research.
Yeah.
The writer had to do some research. Yeah, and then we produced that piece, and it was quite successful. It was it's the play we took. In fact, the South Africans heard about it and called us that they wanted to see the play. If we could bring it to South Africa. Thought it was a joke. They said, but they want to come and see it first. That they've been hearing about it. They flew down. We performed just for them. They loved it. Then they invited us for 3 weeks. We were in Pretoria performing. You know, so and they said, hey, we had seen the Fela on Broadway. That was done by the Americans.
Yeah, the Americans, yes.
And we've seen yours, and we think yours is more authentic. Yeah. You know, so,
I mean, for obvious reasons. I mean, those ones glamorized for...
yeah, you know, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, so we were invited to perform in South Africa. Then after that, we also were invited to Egypt, Cairo, and then at the Dubai Expo, we were invited to perform that play. So we had that relationship with the Fela family, you know. So BAP, when she wanted to, in the course of discussion about, what film should we do next after we had done 90 Days, Collision Course, Bling Legosian, Man of God, what film should we do next? And she said, why don't we do a story about Fela's mom? You know, everybody talks about Fela, but Fela had inspiration from somewhere.
From the mom,
you know. So why don't we do a story
great
about
woman?
Yes. So BAP approached the family, and they gave us the rights to do the film. And then we approached Tunde Babalola to write the script, and that's how we got to make the film.
Tunde Babalola has been writing very, very great scripts. Yeah. I mean, we were classmates at Ife.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've reviewed a couple of movies, and and it's been a very wonderful writer. A lot of people said a lot of things about this Fumilayo.
Yeah.
So Austin Peters, directed it.
Yes, Bolano
directed it. Yeah. And so, can you take me through? I mean, were there challenges? What kind of challenges did you guys face, and how long did it take to
we shot that film? We shot it in, I think we shot it in 3 weeks. Yeah, we did a week in Lagos and 2 weeks in Abeokuta. We shot it in 3 weeks. Yeah, I think so. But a lot of pre-production
certainly
took a lot of time to, challenges included casting, because we needed to get it right, that the right fit. You know, we are now replicating real life characters that people know. You know, so I can't now think of how we would cast and non-cast people that somehow don't even look anything near this real life character.
Yeah.
You know, and then people that would be able to get into the character, and you see this person you are acting out in this actor. You know, so casting was a critical part, and Bolanle Austin Peters is quite interested in making the right casting. You know, if you are not good, you are not good. If you cannot deliver, it's not about who you are, but what you can do. So casting was tough before we could get the right cast. Locations were also a big issue. Now we are shooting a timepiece. You know, and a lot of places had changed. In Abeokuta, even in Lagos, things had changed. You know, we have so many telecom masts here. We didn't used to have that. We have so many electric poles. The roof style has changed. Everything has changed. So we had to be very careful not to now make a film that was showing the early 50s now start looking as if it is
2000.
and 22. You know, so we took a lot of time to cast. On several occasions we went to Abeokuta to look for suitable places that, you know, and then family were gracious enough to grant us access to Fumilayo's real home where she lived. So we shot her home in the actual house she lived, in her bedroom. You know, we shot her room there.
So it's still preserved?
It's preserved. It's not a museum.
Oh my God.
It's preserved. So we shot in that compound. And yes, and we also got some of the grandchildren to feature in the film. Yanni featured in the film, Kunle featured, you know, and one other person, you know. So casting and locations were tough. Of course, the weather in Abeokuta was very harsh. It was hot, you know, so it was quite a struggle, you know, but we pulled it through, and here we are.
And then, I mean, I was particularly interested because, I mean, you know, the question of the challenge we're talking about, yeah, they recreate. I mean, did you have to recreate certain, in terms of rebuilding certain scenes
Locations,
yeah,
right? Yes,
location?
yes. We had to build, for example, the market scenes. We had to build market scenes that depicted the way markets were in that
in
time,
those days,
not the way it is now. So that we had to do. The school where we shot, good thing it was the school that was in that era. I think it was the same school. Yeah. And then the house, the family house, was also what was in that era where Fumilayo actually lived. You know, so in then the train station, we had to recreate that.
Yeah.
You know, we no longer have locomotives, so we had to recreate that. So there were some scenes that we actually recreated, but not a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and then costuming was also one amazing.
I was going to talk about that. Yeah, costume.
Angle to
because
it.
they have to be period costumes.
Yes, absolutely. So Bolano Peters is strong at directing, costuming. In fact, in every aspect, she knows what she wants and she goes for it. She doesn't cut corners.
Yeah.
So we needed to get the right costume. You know, we needed to make sure that and they were beautiful too and appealing. It's a film.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So.
I mean, again, planning, certainly planning, and from what I mean, from the reviews I've read, I mean, it was a work of great vision, a vision that was, you know, realized.
Absolutely.
And there were a lot of crowds, and that's one of the things.
Yes.
You know, again, one of the big challenges. So, how did the management? You know, how did that? How
Like
was
I
that
said,
achieved?
we have an amazing team, a great crop of people that we work with. You know, so we get to Abeokuta, we engage local people. We need 1,000 market women, people that can pose at market women. And they put the word out, and behold, you get 2,000 people coming. You now have to select who, because you have to turn some back.
Yeah.
That, you know, so yeah, so getting that crowd and managing the crowd wasn't easy. But we had hands that could do that. We engaged people that could help in crowd control, managing extras and things like that, and also getting that large number of people needed warranted that we get a lot of costume, because we had to put them all in costume. So all of them. And then also we needed stylists that will help braid their hair, change it to look that era, you know. So sometimes when we say we need 500 extras, we'll tell them this is the spec of what we want. Your hair should be like this, that. If you can do it ahead before you come, better. Well, no, they all just show up the way they are. So you now have to start fixing it.
Because it will cost money for them to do that.
So
anyway.
you know, we now had to start fixing it on set. So we had stylists on ground, and our costume team, you know, made arrangement for a good thing. It was largely at Jire. So and Abeokuta, where else could you possibly get?
Exactly.
You know, so we bought quite a lot of it, and got all of them to look the way we wanted them to look.
Yeah. And another thing that I was thinking again, no challenge in terms of interference, because I mean there's a story that is politically, you know, charged.
Yeah.
Was there any kind of?
None whatsoever. None. We did with government, you mean?
Well, I
with
mean,
the
even the
locals.
local, yeah, too,
No,
yeah,
the locals were very
they loved
supportive.
it,
Yes,
yeah,
they loved it. They were very supportive. But most of the time, they won't even know what you are shooting.
yeah.
They just know you are shooting a film
The
about
film
Fumila
from
Ransom
Lion
Kuti. Oh, they
Sanskrit,
are happy to support.
yeah,
What direction are you taking this film? They don't know. They
they
just
don't
come
know,
and play their role and go.
yeah.
So, but then they are even happy with the outcome of the film, the
Oh,
way it is.
yeah. Actually, the reason why
Because,
I asked is,
yeah,
I mean, this is a powerful story, a story that Nigeria needs, a story. I mean, this is a woman that has been surrounded by a lot of myths.
right.
What people know
Hmm.
is, oh, she was the first woman to drive a car, and
Absolutely.
then but then not a lot of people, because a lot of things that I've read, again, you just need to go to Facebook,
Yeah,
see how people are talking. Oh, but they told us she just drove a
exactly.
car,
Exactly. So
and
there's a
she
lot
did more
about
than
a
that.
lot that
Oh my
you
God,
know
they never told us
that's
this
the
is who.
problem.
Yeah,
That's the problem with our history.
yeah,
We do not uh, teach our people the right history. These are things that should be studied. People should know about this kind of people. People should have good literature and information about what happened in the
in the
past, how it
past.
happened. All
Yeah,
these things should be documented. But for a long time, history wasn't being taught in schools anymore.
yes,
I think it's back in now.
yeah,
So there's a disconnect. So they see this man, who is this person? If you go if you go abroad, you go all over the world. In schools they talk about, when you hear Winston Churchill, you know who he was. Everybody, even if you were born
yeah,
today,
yeah.
because you are taught the history of the
Of
people,
these
of
great
the
leaders,
yes.
they become
But
source of inspiration. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
But over here, that's not the case. And the little information out there are things that have been put out largely by private individuals. Not that there is a conscious curriculum in place that takes our children, as they are growing, through their history, so that they understand where they are coming from.
yeah,
It will help shape where they are going to,
yeah.
and their mentality and all of that. But the way it is now, you just come, you study, and you learn everything in English. In fact, if you are learning history, you are learning international history about what's happening in other countries. What about your country?
Your
What do you
country.
know about your country,
Yeah,
about your people, about your ancestors? Where are you from? What kind of people were they? What language were they speaking? How were they dressing? How were they feeding? What did their environment look like in those days? Nothing. So you are disconnected from the past. That's an identity that is lost.
that's true.
You now form or forge a new identity for yourself, taking you forward, and then you are now disconnected from the past. So a lot of it even has impact
Eh,
on our
yeah,
society,
on
on
our
our even
society.
on
Negative,
morals,
negative. Yeah,
because the what we are learning now, we are not learning the morals of our fathers, our ancestors, is what is obtainable now, that are largely influenced by foreign culture, not our culture.